let's continue. So we see right here, we see the cacique. That's what we call the sheiks in America. Cacique. Cacique of Kiowa. So, show you. Kiowa. So you see the islands. You see Morris Island right there. Yeah, Kiowa. Right there. So the cacique of Kiowa. In this text, they talk about a female. They talking about how she dressed, and even like it seems to help the faith in her Moorish origin. So wherever she been dressed in, that's how they recognize it. Most likely she asked don't know who she been at that time. The ruling class usually do to keep records. And they also bring up the Venus, which is the green star that you see on the Moorish American flag or Moroccan flag. The green star of Venus. It's another text we gotta go into. You can see how a lot of us get changed to Spanish, Portuguese, African conquistadors, and stuff like that, because the history, when you let out the write your history, let the victors write the history, like Rome, they change it to all kind of things. But these Indian conquistadors, they got overseas kingdoms. So a lot of the histories in books in Europe or in Africa. And they got them as the people over there, but they came from here, a lot of them. So we'll go through some of the stuff in another video where they talk about, follow these names. Amaru Marka Wasi. Amaru Marka Wasi is basically the land of God. What they call it, temple of the moon. A different meaning. They say Amaru means snake, but it means Lord. The animus. They call it animus. They say the Indians been animus. But you see animus, believe that object, places, and creatures are possessing distinct spiritual essence. And you see animals is the first one they say. So just know that way they see Amaru, they talk about snake, they're talking about animism. So we look into this ancient animism from America, and we look at it in the rest of the world, and we find all the same things. So, for example, a tribe like this tribe, we find in North Africa. And look what the language say. Isnati. You can see all across South America that is at the beginning of the terms. We should know by now Amazite and Amazon. Well, you see tribes like these, they've been trying to figure out where they've been before Islam and creators over here, Animus. I don't want to take too long, but somewhere in here they say that's how we know before 711 AD, we've been going overseas. Let's see. Try one of these tribes. Yeah, the Beni East Nancy. Also, there's another theory that the term Africa comes from the name of this tribe. This one. Another theory of the term Africa. By Romans referred to as the Africani. The people of the Maghreb by the Romans referred to as the Africani by the Romans. And the word Ifri. Yeah, Gaetulia. So we know on our map, Geta sits where Venezuela sits. So the ancient Geta, us the Zenata, they just went to North Africa and multiplied, create their own little tribes over there too. So, let's see. People Rwanda. I say before Islam, right? He said among the Ephraim, Animus was the principal spiritual philosophy. So you see, they had the same religions that they find over here in early America. The temples for the Musikau, or the temple of the sun, and sacred city of the sun, Soamux, and the temple of the moon in Chia, the town named after the moon goddess. Here the people gather to worship Suwa in Chia, sun and moon. We call it the star and crescent. You see, it had their gods made of gold and silver. I also will show you how even in the United States beginnings, gold and silver been the standards. And again, the legend of El Dorado take you to the Charisse. Santa Marta. Innocent the Eighth illness worsened the following year. Responded real intent to disrupt traffic with Barbary. Duly instructed the Admiral Jaris of Savoy accused the lords of granting in their ports excessive exemptions to export or import, relying on the farming and breeding privileges. Small custom house officers such as Hulva or Vigil were particularly affected by San Lucar. Rents and Al-Mujar Farzago were sieged and a boss without continuity. Since as soon as the kidnapping was decreed, Gonzalo de Cordoba was raised by order of the crown. It was inappropriate to obfuscate that of Medina when he was fighting in Granada with his own bombards. The Almo Jaris and the Almo Jarifazgo are like collecting rent collectors, collecting the fifth on products. See, the nuisance was reduced to imposing a tariff, which must be compiled with sent to the Vigier in 1491, so a year before 1492. The rent was called Portazgo instead of Alvojarifazgo, as before, because the Barbate River was condemned to lose its quality of port with Barbary. Interest of indigo, probably Aztec. So that's what we're coming in to the Barbate and these ports in Spain in 1491. We know that we can't prove that it's Aztec, but we going to our research. That's what we making our claim on. So you see, it's a port city. You see Kid Uda, we were talking about in the last video, Melilla. So it's definitely been about collecting the fifth out of these ports. Whose largest lower paid 12 maravedis like the other tinctures. Cotton came from other overseas points and wax. So not just this indigo that we find coming from somewhere in America, probably Aztec indigo. So that means the Aztec already doing business with Andalusian Moors. And cotton comes from somewhere, and wax comes from somewhere over here. This is an Aztec city-state. They got the flag right there. The protective armies of the Pueblo, according to the treaties, are found in Article 8 of the Indian Manifesto in March 11, 1972. This right here is a scene from the 1500s. The Moorish army post protecting the Pueblo and the Moorish country flag. And you see the different posts protecting the Pueblo as cities. One. These like forts, cities that lead to the main market. You see the water going around it, just like the Quarter Crusader overseas. You see river dredging and shit like this. We could talk about a lot of these stuff. And then later you gotta know the terms, breakwaters and the signet ring of Puerta de Tierra, people of the land, Gadir and Cadiz. Go faster. waters. The singing rain, look how the rain look, right? You could tell those nobles of Cadiz don't know they've been the ancient Egyptian Empire and the ancient Canaanite Israelite Empire. You can see the Hebrew in the middle. You can see the wing dust at the bottom. Look like the owl at the top, the myrrh. Or falcon, or phoenix. Well, you can see all that influence in that ring, and these people of Cadiz. Belong to the second quarter of the 8th century BC, a time of instant trading between the northern kingdom of Israel and the coastal cities of Tyre and Sidon. Archaeology evidence found that Tyre and Sidon confirms Hebrew presence in those cities. It is likely that the Hebrews living in the regions of Tyre and Sidon and the northern kingdom of Israel reached the coast of Tarshish. Paleographic, onomastic, and iconographic studies show that this signet ring is of Hebrew origin from northern Israel, found in Cadiz. We'll get into how, as Moors, we just bring all this ancient Egyptian empire into modern times. Even today, we're making massive use of our old names. So these some they call servants in Andalusia. See on the ankle. Basically showing you who they're stealing this from. Like these who been inhabitants. And again, our ports connected to those old ports in like Cadiz. Saying that we set up in Africa, we set them up in Europe. And of course in America, because that's where we're coming from, overseas. We started it. They got stuff like this, abada, can refer to various items of clothing, a white tunic worn for prayer by African Muslims. So we know that from the world famous painting. Everybody go to this, that this is a Moor. In Philadelphia, enshrined. Come on, Ricky. Ain't no way you ain't know the famous painting. So they give me the author. I wonder why they were giving me that author at the top. It was a uniform of port workers in Brazil, which is the hidden miracle. The pants worn by the capoeiristas in Brazil, or the a shirt sold at Carnival or theatrical production to promote the event, of course. You know, they always turn your history into myths and festivals. Beatrice, we talk about this Boabdillah family who been close to Isabel Castillo. Beatrice was born in Medina del Campo to the powerful and wealthy Boabdillah family with close ties to the crown of Castile. Her father, Juan de Boabdillah, who held numerous roles including alderman for Medina del Campo, governor of Madrid, and chief huntsman for Catholic monarch. As a result of this last role, Beatrice became known as La Cazadora, the huntress. The name was also referred to the attractiveness and her rumored high-profile relationships with King Fernando and Christopher Columbus. As a result, the former Queen Isabella arranged for her to marry Hernan Peraza, Lord of La Gomera and El Hierro, in 1482. So she shipped overseas because she was messing with her husband. And we saw that earlier, the Rio Herrero and Peraza estates. Hierro and Gomera. The person who she married him off to had these factories in America. And this happened before 1492. We're going to start with this one here, which is interesting, need to be looked into. In 1490, 2 years before the discovery date, he leased the Catholica to two Pelanos, the fisheries of, and you know, Catholica is the two monarchs, Isabel and Ferdinand. They had no ships, so they had to get these ships from different ports have been still in southern Spain, converted, and shit like that. The Nino brothers and the Ninos. Okay, the fishery of Agra de Calvados and Alboxador was 6 leagues of a foxhole because they would get into the conquest of Portugal. So again, we're talking about this. When you say get into the conquest of Portugal, it means just get into this area. They have to watch where they're going, because it gets snatched up. You see Seville, that means different some citizens or moles or nobles in Seville who had this area, which been the Medina Sidonia family, for their fisheries and places they can go while being harassed. Isabella ain't about no joke. She tell her boy, you say, you know what happened if treaty get break, right? And you look at her with that funny look. So, see, the conquest of Portugal tempting the contrary to prevent them from getting lost. He showed them the way across the coast of Canaria, the former island of Fierro. If it was Puerto Hierro, he would send them right to Boca del Drago, the beginning of a very powerful current that leads to Rio de Oro, even without wanting to. They talking about trade winds. I mean, yeah, sea trade winds. Former use of these leases. The documents would have been the rule, made an exception by careful expungement. Isabella was busy cleaning the Barbary of whites and mestizos. That was interesting right there too. It would have been contradictory to introduce Castilian, but the fishermen did not change into settlers. So basically, she's saying a lot of the people here already been speaking Spanish and everything, but just like how Spain, baby, metropolis, cities and shit. Citizens who already been high been in Castile. So she gonna make a new world. She get rid of people who know too much. And like what you say, we got they changed them to conquistadors in the history books, Indian conquistadors and stuff like that. Same thing they did with the Moors, they changed to Africans and African conquistadors. But the fishermen did not change it to settlers. In addition to seeking income, which was not to be lost, the discovery being green, Renagas and Casino would serve as guinea pigs. That's the operation she ran. She grew up learning Latin in order to go back to the ways of her, what she believed to be her foremothers and forefathers. So she going to try to be like how Rome was against Carthage. Knowing the story, knowing that these Moors who in America and in Spain and Africa, Italy, France, shit like that. She looking at it how we supposed to be looking at it from historically timeline all the way through, no break in the timeline. So she learned Latin for that purpose, to be able to rule her kingdom like through the historical timeline. So you connect the old bishoprics and the old dioceses of Rome back to America where it was. Ancient America under Roman Carthage, Punic Wars. Shit ain't never stopped.